Is it worth it? You guys tell me. Hello everyone, my name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a video that I have been inspired to do by a recent video that I watched called These Books Will Self-Destruct in 12 Months. It's like a Trash My TBR video. It's by Pages with Paige, and her concept really is basically that she is presenting a bunch of books to you. It's a typical Trash My TBR, except she is giving herself the rule that if she doesn't read any of these books by the end of 12 months, she's going to get rid of them, unhaul them anyways, especially if people tell her to get rid of them and that they're not worth it, not worth the attempt. I'm going to be doing something like that today. I've decided that I'm going to be doing it a little bit different though. I think it's going to be within like 6 months, maybe a year. I'm not really sure. I'm going off of your guys' opinions mainly. I have a big stack of books. I have a YA stack and an adult stack. So we're going to go off of both of those and I'm going to present them to you. They are a variety of books that I've had on my shelves for a fairly long time and that I'm interested in, but not enough to really care that much. There are a few that I'm more interested in than others, so it's up to you guys. You tell me if these books are worth keeping or if I should just unhaul them fully, because I feel like I will unhaul them within months if I'm still not reading them. So I'm giving myself probably max timeline a year to read these books, and if I haven't read them by then, I will be definitely getting rid of them. If you guys also tell me to get rid of them, I will, because I have too many books on my shelves. As you guys know, I have about 176 unread books. I just counted this morning. By the time you're seeing this video, it'll be June, so hopefully I have less on my shelves that I have to read. But if I can get rid of a big chunk of these, that's just gonna bring down my TBR even more and get me to a more reasonable number because my TBR is too big. I need to not have so many unread books on my shelves because it's stressing me out. Anyways, we're gonna get started with the adult stack. You guys will also have to please excuse the very dreary light. It is currently very gloomy and like threatening rain outside. The very first book on this list is All the Light You Cannot See, All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. This is a historical fiction novel, which is one of a few on this list that I just am not interested in reading all that much. I love historical fiction. When I do read it, I just don't give enough time to it, and that makes me sad. But this book specifically has been on my TBR for a long time. I have read up until about here because this is where the book is broken, because I'm that kind of a person. I break my books. Tried to read it once and I put it down and I've not picked it up since. It's been on my shelves for years and I just don't know when I'm going to get to it. So let me know if this one is worth it. This is a World War II historical book and it's about Marie-Laure Leblanc, who is, I think she's blind if I remember correctly. She's 12 and she lives with her dad and uncle, something like that. And then it's also about Werner, who is an orphan in Germany, and I believe he starts training as a Nazi, I think? Not entirely sure, but it's World War II historical fiction, as is literally almost all the historical fiction. The next one is a Christmas book that I have been meaning to read for like 3 Christmases in a row now, and that is Christmas at the Little Clock House on the Green by Eve Devon. This is an Emma retelling, which is why I picked it up in the first place. It is about Emma Danes, who moves home or moves to a little village, and Jake Knightley, who is opting out of Christmas permanently. So like it gives me like Scrooge vibes, and it also has like this like fix up this place together vibes. It's a cute romance, and I've decided if I don't read it this Christmas, it's going off my shelves completely because I keep saying I'm gonna read it and then I don't. So if you guys have read this, let me know if it's worth it or not. The next one on this list is one that I picked up specifically because of Reagan from Peru's Project, because she and her boyfriend both read this and both loved it. So I picked it up when I saw it at the thrift store and I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And I'm interested in it, but not enough to like really give it a go unless I'm like told to. And so I'm asking you if I should read it, tell me. And that is The First 15 Lives of Harry August by Claire North. This is, I believe, a like timey-wimey book. Deals with time and deals with multiple lives. Some stories cannot be told in just one lifetime. No matter what he does or the decisions he makes, every time Harry dies, he always returns to where he began, a child with all the knowledge of a life lived a dozen times before. Nothing ever changes until know now. As Harry nears the end of his 11th life, a little girl appears at his bedside. I nearly missed you, Dr. August, she says. I need to send a message. This is the story of what Harry does next and what he did before, and how he tries to save a past he cannot change and a future he cannot allow. So this is one of the books on this list that I'm putting on here to make myself read because I'm interested in this. I'm very intrigued by it. It's just, is it worth it? You guys tell me. The next book is by Beatrice Williams, and I have read one of her books before, and I believe it's called The Summer Wives, and I enjoyed it. It was an interesting read, and I picked this up because it sounded also really interesting, but again, it's just been sitting on my shelves, and I don't know when I'm gonna get around to it. And that is The Secret Life of Violet Grant. Okay, this is another like historical fiction. So we have dual timeline, I do believe. We have 1912 and 1964 with Violet Schuler, or it's spelled Schuler, but is it Schuyler? Might be Schuyler, because who knows? Schuyler Grant, we're gonna call it Schuyler. Violet Schuyler Grant and Vivian Schuyler, and it's their story. It says secrets and that kind of a thing. It looks kind of like starlit vibes. I don't know. Is it worth it? Should I keep it? You guys tell me. The next one on my list is another historical fiction, and that is The Alice Network by Kate Quinn. This was gifted to me by my mom's friend, but it is another World War I and World War II. Yeah, 1947 and 1915. Dual timeline historical fiction about the Alice Network, which is, I believe, a group of spies. Yeah, there was a betrayal and I don't know. Something like that. Is it worth it? This is one of the more popular ones out there. I might eventually read it. Who knows? If I don't, within the year, it'll be off my shelves. The next one is The Rules of Magic by Alice Hoffman. I have this because I've read Practical Magic, and I believe that this is the prequel to Practical Magic. And this cover is mainly why I have it, because it is just so pretty. It is so pretty, and I love it. So I really don't even know what it's about. It's about the Owens family, which has a curse on them from like the 1600s when Maria Owens was accused of witchery for loving the wrong man. Hundreds of years later in New York City at the cusp of the 60s, when the whole world is about to change, Susanna Owens knows that her 3 children are dangerously unique. So I think it's about the ants in Practical Magic? I'm not entirely sure. I didn't love Practical Magic, but I did enjoy the reading experience, sort of, so that's why I have this. So you tell me, is it worth it? Is it too much like Practical Magic? Will I hate it because it's like that? I liked Practical Magic, but I've read many more witchy books that actually have the witchy vibe to them and that I like a lot more. So tell me, is this worth keeping or should I get rid of it? The next one is Tom Hanks' Uncommon Type. This is his short story collection that I have picked up because it was Tom Hanks. That's really the only reason why. I spent an unreasonable amount of money on this because in Canada our hardcovers are like $30 plus, and I got it brand new from the bookstore, which I low-key regret because my friend has read this and she was disappointed in how white straight man it is, and I can see that. I love Tom Hanks, but I can see that. So if any of you read this and if you think it's worth it, tell me. Otherwise, I probably won't get around to it, and it's probably gonna leave my shelves. The next 2 are by the same author, The Kite Runner and A Thousand Splendid Suns, both of them by Khalid Hosseini, and this is the kind of historical fiction that I don't love reading. Mainly because I find the prose really difficult to get into, and because the stories I know going in are just absolutely heartbreaking, and there's only so much of that I can handle. But these are also 2 very, very popular books. This one in particular is actually falling apart. Like the pages are starting to slide out, so that, because I got this one at the thrift store, so it was already kind of a mess. But the spine isn't even broken, which is interesting. But yeah, are these worth it? Should I go through the heartbreak for these books? Are they worth it? You guys tell me, because I've had them on my list for way too long. Embarrassingly long, like since high school long. And I am 23 turning 24 this year, so too long to be on my list. Too long to be on my shelves, let's be real. The next one and the last adult book on this list is The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. The American one is called something different, I don't know. But this is by Stuart Turton, and I was very intrigued about this originally originally when it came out. That's why I have it. That's why I picked it up at the thrift store when I saw it. But I have heard so many weird things about it since, specifically that the fat phobia in this is really rampant and terrible, and that like Stuart Turton just doesn't treat that very well, and that the mystery itself is not that exciting. And it is also the Groundhog Day style, almost, where like the narrator wakes up in a different body every time this murder happens to like go through it and find new clues. And that's interesting to me, but not enough to really care anymore. But you guys tell me, is it worth it? Is it worth reading? Is it worth keeping? Or should I just get rid of it and not bother with it anymore? All right, let's move into my YA stack. So this stack is pretty much all of the books on my shelves that I've had for a really long time that I keep meaning to read, but I don't. And have been on my shelves for a while. And they're all like YA fantasy that aren't that popular. So like, I don't know much about them. First one is The Glass Spare by Lauren DeStefano. I believe I picked this up at Indigo 4 or 5 years ago now, during their like Black Friday deals. But this is about Wilhelmina Heidel, the fourth child and only daughter of the king of the world's wealthiest nation, has grown up in the shadows. So it's like there's kingdoms and fantasy wars, and then there's dangerous secrets that she can turn people into gemstones. I don't know. Have you guys read this? Is it worth keeping, or should I just get rid of it because I have too many other YA books that I need to read? The next one is one that I keep putting on TBRs and not getting to, and that is Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. So I'm putting it on this list, kind of like the Harry August book. I mean to read it, but I never do, and I'm just like, should I keep this? Is it worth it? Will I like it? Let me know. Deals with different kind of witches with like that have different kind of skills. Like we have a truth witch, we have a thread witch, and I believe there's wind witches and other kind of witches. If I don't read it within a year anyways, it's going off my shelves. The next one is A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray. This is Libba Bray, who wrote The Diviners, which is one of my favorite YA books. And I picked this one up because of that. I was like, oh, The Diviners. I love The Diviners. I'll pick up one of her other series. But now, like, looking at this, the first line on the back is, Gemma Doyle isn't like other girls. Guys, why? I think just at that I'm just gonna straight on haul this one, because I cannot read a book that is another book about a girl who's not like other girls. No, that was not even up for discussion. Not reading it. Okay, the next one, Reign of Shadows by Sophie Jordan. This is one that I picked up, I believe, at a thrift store because it's marked and it's kind of a mess. It's like it's not, and it's like yellowed pages and stuff. Okay, 17 years ago, an eclipse cloaked the kingdom of Relhok in perpetual darkness, and then the chaos and evil chancellor murdered the king and queen and seized their throne. Luna, the kingdom's lost princess, has been locked away in a tower in this cursed Blackwoods ever since. Luna's survival depends entirely on the world believing she is dead. Ooh, so this kind of sounds like a Rapunzel retelling, which is really intriguing to me now. But like this one might be one that I do read within the year. But is it worth it? If you guys have read it, tell me if this is worth it. It's very little. You guys tell me. The next one is another one like Truth Witch. I keep putting on my TBRs and not getting through, and I believe I've gotten through, yeah, about 150 pages and I just didn't finish it. So maybe that's a sign that I need to get rid of it. But this is Roar by Cora Carmack, and it is about Aurora Pavan, who comes from one of the oldest Stormling families in existence, and she has been groomed to be the perfect queen, yet she does not have any magic that her people expect her to have. And I think she is about to marry a guy from a different kingdom, but she runs away, tries to run away, stumbles on a black market and like people who are hunting storm magic, and then she thinks that that's going to be her savior because she wants to hunt the storm magic for herself. I don't know. It looks so cool, and it's one of my favorite YA covers that I've ever seen ever. Is it worth it? Is it worth keeping? Should I just get rid of it and finally say no to the fact that I have not read this? The next one on my list is The Crown's Game by Evelyn Skye. This one I believe I picked up because A, it's royalty, B, there's a game. If you could tell by the title. So it is about Vika Andreeva, who can summon the snow and turn ash into gold. Nikolai Karimov, who can see through walls and conjure bridges out of thin air. They are enchanters, the only two in Russia, and with the Ottoman Empire and the Kazakhs threatening, the Tsar needs a powerful enchanter by his side. So he initiates the Crown's Game, an ancient duel of magical skill. The victor becomes the imperial enchanter and the Tsar's most respected advisor. The defeated is sentenced to death. So I think I remember picking this up because of the game aspect and the enchanter manager aspect, also because it deals with the Ottoman Empire, which is like a real thing it's a historical thing. So I'm always interested in historical fantasy. Have you guys read this? Is it worth it? Is it worth keeping? Tell me. I'm just gonna keep saying that because you guys are in control of my fate. The next one is another YA, and that is This Mortal Coil by Emily Suvada. This is, I believe, sci-fi. So it is about Katerina Agata, who is a hacker. She can cripple mainframes and crash through firewalls, but that's not what makes her special. In Kat's world, people are implanted with technology to recode their DNA, allowing them to change their bodies in any way they want. And Kat happens to be a gene hacking genius. I like that pun. She's a gene hacking genius. I'm sorry. It's got that aspect to it, and I think it's like typical YA where there's like soldiers and she like falls in love with them. One of them, his name is Cole, who tells her that her father is dead and that Cole needs Kat's help to release this new vaccine and save the human race. Oh boy, that's a little bit close to home. But yeah, so if you've read this, tell me if it's worth it. It's kind of interesting. I'm getting this idea that I might do a reading vlog for like 5 of these books that I mentioned in the video that you guys say are worth keeping. So let me know down below which ones you want to see me read. I guess that would be probably the best thing to do. Might do it in July so that I have time to compile it and actually read it and then put it up for you guys in July and then see if I get through those books and or if I'm going to unhaul them. But the last one on this list is one of the prettiest books that I own. And that is Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. And I do believe that this is a book set in a world that she has another series about, which is the Kiss of Deception series, I think, which is also called the Remnant Chronicles. So it's like a Six of Crows-esque book, you know, like set in the same world just later. So I remember also trying to read this and not being able to really get into it. So I don't know, if you guys have read this, let me know if it's worth it. But this is basically new adventure set in the kingdoms of the Remnant. A formidable outlaw family that claims to be the first among nations. A son destined to lead thrust suddenly into power. 3 fierce young women of the Rathan, the queen's premier guard. A legendary street thief leading a mission determined to prove herself. A dark secret that is a threat to the entire continent. That's why I picked it up. I picked this one up around the same time where we were having that little bit of a boom with all the books that had like a list of like people. It's a cat and mouse game. I don't know. Is it worth it? You guys tell me. That is the tagline of this video. Is it worth it? You guys tell me. So yes, that is my list of potential unhauls, and I am excited about the prospect of doing a reading vlog for this. So you guys let me know down below which ones are not worth keeping, which ones I should just get rid of, and which ones are maybe worth keeping. Out of the ones that are worth keeping, I will do a reading vlog for, and if I don't read the rest of them within a year, I will be getting rid of them. So if enough of you tell me that some of these books are not worth it, I will be getting rid of them earlier than that, sooner than that, because I do want them off my shelves and off my TBR. So my fate is in your hands, my friends, and I will see you in another video soon. Stay kind and keep on reading.